So I am going on a camping trip in a couple of weeks. Actually, it's just a week now. I've left it quite late, but I realised that I don't really have a sun hat that I can take with me. I have a cap, but I don't really like its fit. So I thought this would be quite a good way to make something I need, use up some pieces of fabric from my stash, and then also sew an accessory. I don't think I've ever sewn an accessory before. I've sort of always stuck to garments. What I'm going to use is the bucket hat pattern by Merchant & Mills. I'm actually going to make two. I'm going to make one for my partner that just uses the pattern as is, kind of in his size. And then I'm going to make one for myself, but I'm going to try and modify it a bit so that it has like a hole at the back of my head for my ponytail to go through, or a bun. Usually if I was wearing a hat, I would have my hair up. So I think I'm going to try and do that the first time I'm making it how it's meant to be made for my partner, so I can kind of get a sense of how I would add in that little detail of the bun or hair hole at the back for my own version. I also realised I have a lot of fabrics in my stash that would be really good for this, like a lot of remnants or just sort of pieces that I have that I bought for a project that I just never did, or I bought them because I liked them. So I've got all of those out. I forgot that I actually have this quite nice burnt orange canvas. I am in the process, the very long, slow process of making a crescent crosstown bag in this canvas. I did get it out, but I don't know, it just didn't feel like it was the right fit for this particular hat. The same for this green twill canvas that I actually forgot I had. I thought this was originally thinner than it was when I bought it for a different project, but it's also uncut and like enough that it could be used for a project in the future, so I kind of decided not to go with that one. But I do really like that colour combo. I don't know, I'll have a think about what I could do with those in the future. The ones that I have settled on for my partners, I'm actually just going to use this blue cotton twill that I have, this navy one. It's got a really nice weight to it, and I actually made a pair of lane pants by Sydney Graham in this kind of like slightly outdoorsy hiking ones, and they have a sort of like adjustable cuff bottom, and I really like them. But I have quite a lot left over, so that will be perfect for his, and I'm just going to do the outer and the lining in the same fabric. For mine, I'm actually going to use, excitingly, some remnants I got from Higgs & Higgs at the Stitch Fest earlier this year. I kind of had these in mind for a bag, but I just haven't got around to making a bag, and this project calls for a similar amount of fabric, so I think why not? So there's this lovely navy sort of denim remnant. It's quite lightweight, to be honest, for a denim. That I think I'll use as my outer, and then I thought it would be really cute if I used this, I don't know if this is cotton or polycotton pinstripe baby blue, and I think those look really nice together, so that's going to be my version. I've actually just printed off the pattern at home, and it's a free pattern, which is fantastic, and two, if you're printing it at home, you actually need to print 3 pages, which is great. I love it when a small pattern comes together quickly. I printed it twice just because I have got a massive head, so I'm doing the extra large for myself, and then my partner's head is going to be in the medium size, so I just thought I'd cut those separately, but I will probably just batch cut them and do that all together. So patterns cut out, fabric is ironed and ready. I was going to cut both fabrics at once, but then I've just realised, because I'm planning to modify my hat, I don't think I am going to cut it out, because I'll probably need to modify the pattern, and I don't want to end up having to cut it twice. So I'm going to start with just the regular one that is narrow brim, no modifications, size medium, and I'm going to start cutting that out and then doing the interfacing as well. It is getting really warm in my sewing room. In the afternoon and the evening, the sun comes through the window behind me, so I have to put the blind down and it gets pretty warm. But the hat is progressing really nicely. I finished the crowns, which is, I guess, the top part of the hat. I did the inner lining layer first, which is good because it was a bit of a learning curve, and I got a few puckers because I didn't quite use the ease stitch enough to make sure that the sides were sort of cinched enough to match the shape of the top. But the top one is a lot better, and I have no big puckers. Like, I have some small wrinkles, but that's sort of expected. So that part is done, and then I'm just gonna carry on with the brim, and it's got loads of top stitching around the brim, which I'm kind of looking forward to doing, so I always find that slightly meditative when you're just going round and round with the top stitching. So good progress so far. The instructions are quite easy to understand. I think this fabric's going to be sort of the right thickness and stiffness. I haven't interfaced that brim, but we'll see. What I'm now doing is altering my bucket hat. So I want it to have like a sort of, I guess in the back, I want it to have like a sort of U shape here is the plan, and then that would then extend into the brim as well. I've got some like inspiration pictures that I've seen. So that's what I'm going to try to replicate, and then it'll have a little sort of elastic band across the back as well. It was quite useful to sew the classic hat, which I finished. I'm actually really happy with. I think it looks really nice, really neat with everything encased. I essentially want, so those are the side seams. I want on mine there to almost be like a shape like this, and then a small elastic channel across here just so it stays together on my head. So that's what I'm going to sketch out now. I am back. It's the next day. It's another super warm day in London, so I have just come into my little office sewing room now that it's cooled down a little bit, but I am going to crack on with my version of the hat with that ponytail hole in now. I got the other hat, it's right here. I got the finished bucket hat finished in, maybe I completed it in about 5 hours. I know that seems really long for a project like this, but I am very slow at sewing, and I take breaks, and maybe I like watch an episode of something, or I sometimes watch YouTube and then I get distracted. But either way, I've got a few hours this evening spare. It's cool enough to sew in here, although it's going to warm up very quickly once I turn the iron on. And I'm going to give it a go. I've got all my pattern pieces cut out, so I will show you those and kind of the modifications that I've made to fit that little hole in for my ponytail and bun. Cut one of the narrow brims, as it were. I've cut the crowns as it said in the pattern, and then the same for one of these bucket hat sides. So what I've done on this piece is, on one of the kind of crown sides, what I've done, because here's the side seam, I made the piece so that it wasn't cut on the fold, and I sort of scooped this out. So this will essentially be where like my ponytail or bun would go through, and then I will have some sort of elastic channel through here. And then similar to that inspiration pic I showed, I've sort of scooped it into a U-ish shape. So this would be the brim, and it will attach up. So again, the brim is meant to come on the fold, but there'll be essentially a gap. So I've made that into two separate pieces and then just sort of cut it out. And then I've cut one with this nice striped lining, and then one of the denim material that I'm going to be using as well. I think that should work. My one concern is like actually how the crown bottom matches up with the brim. I think because it's on a curve that will actually end up matching there, but little concerned. And then I've got this super cute little me-made label which I'm going to add probably between the brim and one of the crown sides. It's another super warm day in London. It's the evening after work and I have to get my hat finished tonight, so I travel to Cornwall tomorrow evening. I'm working all through the day. I might have like a bit of time at lunch to do a little bit of final stitching, but for now this evening is my big chance. It's cool enough as well outside that I can actually carry on with some sewing, maybe a bit of ironing, hopefully not too much because this room will heat up really quick. But things are coming along. I've got both of the crowns and sides sewn together in these sort of like scrub cap, like chef's hat, hairnet style. And then I need to tonight stitch together the brim. Like usually it would be like that and joined up, but I've obviously cut it open for the gap at the back. I've interfaced it as well because I didn't think my fabric was going to have enough weight to it to kind of be sturdy enough for a brim. So that's interfaced, that's ready to go. I'm going to sew it up and then I'll do some top stitching across the brim. And then I need to have a little think about how I put it all together for it to make sense. I think potentially I'll sew it like it's meant to be, and then my last stage might be, I'll just use this, in that hole that I've got, I almost sort of, the last step that I do is that this would be like a raw unfinished edge, and then I tuck it back in on itself, and at the same time tuck in that channel, the elastic channel that's going to go across the back to make sure it's held together. I think that's going to work in my mind. It's come together, but I think we'll see in practice when I get to that stage if it actually works. I'm hopeful it does because I don't really have much time to try anything else. So it may have come together in my head, but in practice it definitely did not come together. I had not left any seam allowance for the crown sides, so if I tucked it in on itself, it would have matched up with the brim edge. Ultimately, I was running out of time, so I decided to pivot quite a lot. I decided not to do the elastic channel across the back and just kind of have it open with a U-shape scooped out. And then what I did have was some leftover denim fabric, so I chose to actually use the leftover and you make bias tape with it. First time making bias tape, it went really well. I really like the look that the bias tape gave the finished product as well. It just has a really nice kind of edging to it. And the final result is that I was very happy with my hat. It was perfect for the really warm outdoor camping trip that we took. It also did its job, like I could have my hair up or in a bun while I was wearing it, which was everything that I had wanted out of it. And it got a lot of wear on my camping trip as we spent so much time outside, and then it's also been one that I've reached for a lot this summer in with all the sunshine and the heat. I really recommend this pattern. It's super simple to follow, it's very easy, and you can also customize it in a few different ways. I'm going to sign off there. Thanks for watching and enjoy some of the beautiful sounds of nature from our camping trip.